Hello, students. I just want to take a minute and review the process of division, and I want to model it with base 10 cubes because I want you to understand what you're doing when we use this division algorithm. Because when we do a problem, like I'm just going to start with a simple division problem just to show you the steps. When we do a problem like 78 divided by 3, I could come over here and subtract 3 until I get to 0, but I don't have time for that. I don't want to come over here. That's what division is. It's just like subtracting until we get to 0. Just like multiplication is adding groups. 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, which is the same thing as 3 times 3. I want to see what's 78 divided by 3. So 9 divided by 3, I could subtract 3 is 6, subtract 3 is 3, subtract 3, when I get to 0, however many groups I subtracted, 1, 2, 3, that is the answer to my division problem. The answer to a division problem is called the quotient. This is where we write the answer. The number that is the total is called my dividend. This is the dividend. And then this number that's being divided is called the divisor. So with my dividend of 73, I have a divisor that's 3, so excuse me, 78 divided by 3. I want to see how many times, how many groups of 3 are in 78. Instead of, let me just come over here and get 78. Let's get some models to show 78. Got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So that's 7 groups of 10 is 70. And then we have our ones. We should have 8 ones. So I just need to get 8 of these. Sorry, my ones are taking me so long over here. Okay, so I have 8 ones now. Now I can divide. With division, it's unlike addition and multiplication. We are going to start with our greatest value first. So I'm going to come over here and look in my tens and see how many groups of 3 can I get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I've got 3, oops. One group of 3 and another group of 3. How many groups of 3 is that? That's 2. I can find 2 groups of 3 because 2 times 3 is 6. Remember, this is where I write the quotient. This is a factor and this is a factor. Here's where I write my product. I wrote a 2 in the quotient because there's 2 groups of 3, and 2 groups of 3 is 6. Now that I have multiplied, it's time to subtract because I see I had 7, but now I see 2 groups of 3 is 6, so I only have 1 left now. So I'm going to indicate that here, over here in my division problem. Now that I have this 1 remainder, I just can't leave it here. I'm done with the 10. So what can I do with this? I can regroup it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I am going to exchange it or regroup it for ones. So now I'm just going to move them over here so that I can see that they're ones. So instead of 8 ones now, I have 18 ones because I just took that leftover 10 and regrouped it to my ones. Now, when I say leftover 10, you say, well, there's a 1 right here. But remember, we're working in the tens. So that is 1 group of 10. So that's actually 10 ones. And so since there's only 1 here and there wasn't another 3, I can regroup it over here. And now it's 18 ones. So this is when we do the bringing down part. This is the bringing down. You do not have to draw this arrow when you bring down. Now I have 18 ones and I need to see how many groups of 3? This might get a little messier here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Oh, look at there, even groups. 18. How many groups is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And I do not have a remainder. A remainder is if we have any left over. So my quotient for the problem, 78 divided by 3, is 26. This is another way to write a division problem. You might even see a division problem written like this. Fractions are division. It looks kind of like our division sign. 78 divided by 3. This is another way. And then, of course, the way we just wrote it, 78 divided by 3 is 26. So now that we know how to do this, why don't we do a little bit of a harder problem? So let me tidy up my board over here. And let's do a harder problem here. Let's do a 3-digit number this time. Let's do 376. Let's just divide it by 2, just to keep it simple. We're going to look at the steps, but we're keeping our multiplication simple. Remember, if you do not know your multiplication facts, this is going to be so much harder. So you're going to want to keep your multiplication table handy to help you with this, because we don't want to make multiplication errors in a division problem. Now, of course, I want you to memorize those facts to make all of math easier. You need to memorize those facts. But for now, if you're not strong with your multiplication, use your multiplication table as an aid. Okay, I'm going to switch my color here. I have my dividend, I have my divisor. Now it's time to divide, but I need to show 376 using my models. So I have 3 hundreds. It's going to be tight. I have 7 tens. And I have 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have my number showing 376, and I'm going to do groups of 2. So let's just try to do this quickly. Let's look at groups of 2. I see a group of 2 here, and that's the only group of 2 I have because I can't divide 1 into a group of 2, not without getting a fraction. We're not doing that. So I'm going to say there's one group of 2 in 3 because 1 times 2 is 2. And then I see there's only 1 left, this one right here. So I'm going to put this right here. Now, because there's only 1 left, there's not another group of 2. I know I'm good. That's where we check. And when it checks out, then we say, well, it's time to bring down. So I divided, I multiplied, I checked. Now I'm going to bring down my 7. That means what I'm doing now is now I'm in my tens. Now this 100, I'm done with my hundreds. I'm going to regroup my hundreds right here to tens. So now you see they're tens. So I can separate them because 10 tens is 100. I'm going to separate them so I don't get into my division problem over here. Maybe I can do this neatly. Okay, so now I'm looking for groups of 2. So I am going to group of 2, group of 2, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and I have this one left over. We only have 1 left over. That was 8 groups of 2. 8 times 2 is 16, and then I had the 1 left over, and I check it, and since 1 is less than 2, I don't have another group of 2. I am good. So we just divided 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups of 2. 17 divided by 2 was 8 groups of 2, and we had 1 left over. So now we can bring down our 6 and we can say, let's exchange or regroup my 10 into ones now. So instead of seeing this as tens, I'm going to see this as ones. And I'm not even, for time's sake, going to separate these right now. I know this is 10 ones. I'm just going to kind of pull them over. Hang on. I think I will. Just separate them a little bit to show. Let me make groups of 2 since now I have 16 ones. I'm done with my tens. I've moved on to my ones, which is my last unit. From behind there, and I am going to see how many groups of 2 I have. So let's see. I've got one group of 2, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. There we go. It's another 8. 8 times 2 is 16, and I did not have any left over, so I have no remainder. That is the model for division. So you're going to be doing 4 digits by a single digit number. That means we're just going to do it one more time. So let's look at a problem like that. If you need to keep watching the video, keep watching. If you feel confident, go do some problems on your own and then try some 4-digit division. But I am going to model a 4-digit for you right now. So I'm going to clear my board. And let's do a 4-digit number, and I'm just going to do a small number. Let's do 1,122. That's all I'm going to do right now. You see I have 1,122. So that is my dividend. The total is my dividend. 1,122. And I am going to divide it by a divisor of 3. Let's do a divisor of 3. So I'm going to see how many groups of 3. Well, you know what? I'm looking over here in my thousands, and I look at my thousands, and I only have 1. Can I do a group of 3 when I only have 1? The answer is no. I only have 1. I cannot do that. So my only option here, I can put a 0 up here to hold this place, or you can just remember where you are. You can totally put a 0 here. You can put a 0 if I can get it to right. Or you can just move to the next number and say, okay, now I'm going to regroup this because I could not divide this by 3. So I'm going to regroup this to my tens. So now instead of just one group of 10, I have sorry, it's not tens, in my hundreds. Instead of 100, now I have 11 hundreds. This is going to be big over here. Let's make room for the hundreds. So that one group of 1,000 just regrouped to 10 hundreds. So now I'm looking for groups of 3. I'm going to group them. I'm going to move them to groups of 3. So I see 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Another 3 is 6. 1, 2, 3. That's 9. And then I have 2. So how many groups of 3? This is not a group of 3. Try to separate them. I had a group of 3 here. Got it right on this. I had 3, 6, 9. So that was 3 groups of 3 that I had, because 3 times 3 is 9. And then I had these 2 left over. So that's 2. Now here's where I check. 2 is less than 3. So I am good to move on to my tens group. So what I'm going to do when I move on to my tens group is regroup these hundreds to tens. So I need to regroup them. Now I have 10, 20, 21, 22. See this right here? 22 tens. So I need to make groups of three. So I'm going to say three. I'm just going to move them around to groups of three. So you can see here, 6, 9. And then I have 12. I'm counting by threes. 15. 18. 21. That was 7 groups of three. And if you didn't know what 7 times 3 is 21, I'm going to say 1. Whoops, try to write it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 3 here because 7 times 3 is 21. And I have this 1 left over. And still that checks because it's less than 3. I did not have another group of 3. So I am good. Now it's time to regroup this and move on to my ones. So now instead of a 10 and 2 ones, I am going to regroup this after I move it over to my ones over here. Need to move these away a little bit. Okay. I am going to regroup these to ones. So now instead of 2 ones, I have 12 ones. I'm going to make groups of 3. 3. See how many groups of 3 I have? 3, 6, 9. And another group of 3 is 12. How many groups of 3? That was 4 groups of 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, and I do not have a remainder. And you say you have this 0 right here. I don't need this 0. My quotient is 374. I hope this helps you visualize division and go through the steps. If this 4-digit division is too hard for you, I want you to start with the smaller numbers and get confident there before you move on to the 4 digits. So do your homework, come with any questions, message me if you have any more questions, and I will see you on Monday.